One of my patrons on a recent Q&A thread asked an interesting question that I thought could merit a video. Cages Pits wanted to know about lightsabers. Since Jedi could activate them and pull them around with the Force, why wouldn't they fight with them like that all the time? First, I want to touch on how lightsabers work, because they do seem to function differently under certain circumstances. Back in Legends, there were examples of lightsabers that had locks on their activation buttons that would keep the blades on, so yeah, a Jedi or anyone could throw them and they wouldn't turn off. But we also have plenty of examples of lightsabers with no activation lock, and anytime the blades aren't being held, they deactivate. But with or without a lock, yes, a lightsaber could be activated or kept on through the Force and then thrown around. So why wouldn't a Jedi just activate one or many lightsabers and then throw them around and fight that way through the Force? Well, if a lightsaber didn't have a locking mechanism, a Jedi would constantly have to keep the activator depressed through the Force, which by itself requires a certain level of concentration and focus. Add on top of that, using the Force defensively to anticipate your opponent's acts or just protect yourself or what have you, that's a lot of things to juggle at one time in a stressful battle situation. So even if you did have a locking mechanism, I think fighting telekinetically with a lightsaber would be very difficult. A lot of these things with the Force are easier said than done. I think that in theory, sure, a Jedi could float a bunch of lightsabers around him, activate them all, and fight with all of them, but it would just require an insane amount of focus and connection to the Force, and you'd have to maintain that all while you're in a battle. I just don't think that would be a common sight. I don't think that that's something that a Jedi would normally be able to do. I don't think that most Force users could do that. I think the actual safer thing to do would be to just hold one lightsaber in your hands to have that more direct control, because a Jedi in that scenario is already doing a lot with the Force. They're allowing the Force to guide their movement or anticipate actions. They're defending themselves. If you're trying to do all of that while telekinetically controlling a lightsaber, that's just an unnecessary step and I think an accident waiting to happen, especially if you're like in the Clone Wars and you've got a bunch of allies around you. Additionally, at least when we're talking about the Jedi, I think that would go against their doctrine. As Yoda says, a Jedi uses the Force for knowledge and defense and never attack. Then again, the Clone Wars era Jedi seem to have totally thrown that idea out the window, force-pushing people left and right. Luke seems to be the only true embodiment of that idea at the end of Return of the Jedi and beyond. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the matter. I think that in theory, it could work, but in practice it would be much more difficult, especially in any sort of battle scenario. But still, I thought it was a very interesting question to try to tackle, so thank you for asking it, Cages. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out my Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.